I'll tell you what right now. On the train ride home, I started humming this. Everybody on the train was looking at me like I was a freaking psycho. I don't really care though. That's just how I operate. The Flash is the latest installment in the DC Extended Universe that is soon coming to an end. Stars Ezra Miller as the Flash, and if you haven't seen the trailers, I'm going to tell you this right now. Michael Keaton makes his grand return as Batman in this movie. When his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, Barry Allen becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned and there are no superheroes to turn to. In order to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life. But will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe? Christian Bale is my favorite Batman of all time. I think he's the best live-action Batman. Maybe not from like the animated perspective. Kevin Conroy, I still think, holds that crown. Rest in peace. But from the live-action perspective, Christian Bale has that crown. But I'm going to do something real quick. And as Rocky Balboa once told Adonis Creed, it's your time now. Fuck yes. Michael Keaton's return as Batman is awesome. I legitimately geeked out in this movie, especially in his first scene where he glides out of the Batwing and his Batman theme is playing. I literally probably let out the biggest scream I have ever let out and was like, let's go! Yeah! And I'm just gonna flat out say this right off the bat. Michael Keaton saves this movie from being an absolute disaster. This is not me doing a fake out gag. I literally mean that. Without Batman being a supporting character in this movie, I was not vibing with it. The first action scene of the movie is literally one of the worst action scenes I've ever seen in a big budget blockbuster. It tries to blend humor and action, and the visual effects throughout the entire thing, but especially that first action scene, are atrocious. And I don't buy the excuse that we're supposed to be seeing it through the Flash's lens, like Anthony Muschietti said, the director of this movie. I don't buy that shit 1 minute. Just say you ran out of time to finish the movie because you were screening this at CinemaCon back in April. Just say that. Just admit it. There's weird gags in that sequence, and I was just like, is this the vibe the movie's going to give off for the whole thing? Because right now, I don't really like it. And the attempts at humor for the rest of the movie failed to connect with me. I didn't laugh a single time throughout this entire movie. It was definitely trying to go for that MCU humor, but it was a lot less, like, funny. It was very forced humor. It felt like that Justice League humor. And I was completely flabbergasted. I was like, that is the tone they're going for with this movie. I could not believe it. And once Barry Allen goes back in time, I get that this is supposed to be the point, but the past version of Barry Allen was mind-numbingly, excruciatingly annoying. And I get that that's the point, that he's supposed to mature throughout the whole movie, but I thought that the one that matured the most was the present Barry Allen. The Barry Allen we saw in the previous DC movies to now, because at the beginning of this movie, he's still acting like a bumbling idiot, but then it's when he fucks shit up where he realizes, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that, and I gotta take the situation seriously, and the two just kind of clashed for me. I was just ready to write this movie off as one of the biggest epic failures of a blockbuster. I didn't feel like the first half of the movie was moving along at a really good pace. I mean, it's maybe a little over an hour until Michael Keaton shows up, but once he shows up, the movie picks up significantly in terms of story and the supporting characters. And that's where I was actually having the most fun with the movie. I thought that the action in the second half of the movie was a lot better than it was in the first half. I liked the little mini Justice League that is formed in this between the two Barrys, Michael Keaton's Batman, and Sasha Calle's Supergirl, who is also another standout in this movie. I thought that she did a really magnificent job, and I'm not a big fan of Supergirl. I just think it's Superman, but as a girl. And there's nothing really interesting about Supergirl, but she actually made me care about Supergirl in this movie, and they gave her a good enough purpose to be in the movie, instead of just making her be like, hey, I'm Supergirl, I'm part of the DC universe, hello, hi, this is a cameo-filled movie. Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. I'm glad that she had a purpose in the movie. She served it well, and she did a a really good job. I think this was her first acting credit, correct me if I'm wrong, but for an actress stepping into a big universe like this, what is her first big movie? I thought she did a really good job, as did Keaton. Those two must have broken backs from carrying this movie on their back. And I do want to give a shout out to Ben Affleck in this movie. He does return as Batman. And honestly, I think that this is the best Ben Affleck's version of Batman has been. I've been a defender of Ben Affleck as Batman. I haven't necessarily been a defender of the way his Batman is written in the Snyderverse. I haven't been huge on that whole Snyderverse thing, but I've defended Ben Affleck, and I've said multiple times, I don't think he's the worst Batman ever. He's not the best Batman, but I think with the material he has been given in the past, he makes do with it what he can. But he's also one of those actors where it's like, if you throw him in the Dark Knight trilogy instead of Christian Bale, is he really that good as Batman? So you kind of ride that line as well, but I've always defended the guy. I never thought he was a terrible Batman. I just think he was just handed shitty material, and he made the most of it when he could. Despite how bad that first action scene is, he has moments in that action scene, and those were the moments in that scene where I was just like, this is the coolest part of this movie. Anthony Muschietti, the director of this movie, knew how to handle the Batmans, and I guess that's why he's going to be directing the Brave and the Bold movie. He seemed like he knew how to handle the Batman characters and Supergirl as opposed to the Flash. And speaking of the Flash, my biggest problem with this movie is that nobody's going to see this for the Flash. I really didn't care about the Flash. I didn't care about his emotional arc. I didn't care about the two Barrys that were on screen. And I mean, part of that may be because it is Ezra Miller, but I'm mostly trying to focus it on a character. I'm trying to leave all that Ezra Miller stuff out the door as much as I possibly can. I just think it's more of the character. This version of Barry Allen has never been a favorite of mine. I felt like they just made him a joke right from the get-go. That's kind of how I felt, and I feel like that's maybe why I didn't connect to his emotional arc so much in this movie, and I connected more to Michael Keaton's Batman, who I felt had a very good emotional arc. Maybe it's just because I'm nostalgic and I just want to see Michael Keaton come back and kick ass as Batman, which he does. He has some great moments in the action scenes. That's really how I felt. I didn't go into this movie going to see, even though it was called The Flash, to see The Flash. I went in to see Michael Keaton as Batman, Sasha Calle as Supergirl, and what other surprises this movie had up its sleeve. It does fall into that trap, though, in the third act, where it delivers so many twists and surprises and turns where it's just like, dude, like, seriously, are you just throwing the kitchen sink at me now? This is a little too much. It felt like fanaticism overboard. There are things in this movie that pop up, and I'm like, I wouldn't have done that because that rubs me the wrong way. It is fan service for the sake of fan service, but I'm a fan. Service me. I really don't care about how bad or good fan service is anymore. I like all the nostalgia feels, but it was just too much towards the end. They throw a lot at you towards the end, and it was just too much. So The Flash is painfully average. Michael Keaton is by far the best part. Sasha Calle is a really good supporting character, but to say that I didn't care about The Flash in his own movie, that's not a good thing, and I wasn't vibing with a lot of the humor and the visual effects. The CW has better visual effects on less money. That's sad. But it is the second half of the movie that entertained me the most and brought out the most of what the potential of this movie could have in terms of story and bringing Michael Keaton back as Batman. That's where I think the movie started to take off and started to actually feel like we were getting somewhere with the story. The first half I thought was kind of slow, and I wasn't really vibing with the tone that was being presented with that first half. And if that first half had continued throughout the rest of the movie, I would probably be giving this a way lower grade than I'm giving it. But because of Michael Keaton's Batman and the second half being action-packed and somewhat entertaining to a degree, The Flash is worth watching with half a bucket of popcorn. If it weren't for Michael Keaton's Batman, it would probably be a disaster, honestly. So, what did you guys think of I just almost called it the Batman. What did you guys think of The Flash? I want to know what you thought of it. Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.